Coming at you to review RoboCop Rogue City. Let's do it. So this is a game that I really enjoyed. This was, as a huge RoboCop fan, and trust me, I am. A little RoboCop right down there. RoboCop. Huge RoboCop fan. So I was super excited to play this game. Super excited while I was playing this game because of the fact how true it was to the original movie. They did a great job with this. This was better than any of the more recent RoboCop sequels that we had gotten. So very happy to have played this game. So let's go through the review here. We're going to talk about the story and characters, the music and audio, the graphics and visuals, the level design, and the gameplay. And if you haven't seen one of my reviews before, remember each one of those has a multiplier. The multiplier shows you how important those are to me. So we're going to start at the very top with the story and characters, and that unfortunately is the least important to me. But that's also where this game really shined, was the story and the characters. I really liked the story. I forget the name of the villain. I forget the name of him, but he was the one who had that, remember that pen that can control RoboCop's, like he kept short-circuiting RoboCop. I thought that was a really good advantage he had over RoboCop. Because RoboCop is very overpowered, so it would make sense that a human against RoboCop would have something like that. So I really like that they exploited that in RoboCop. They should have done it more so in the movies, but they didn't really. And the characters, Robo and Lewis were great. And they were both, I think, voiced by their original actors. So that really was great. RoboCop and Lewis's relationship, I love how it evolved. Remember how Lewis had just gotten Robo a gift? It was his old badge. That was such a sweet moment. Wendell, thank you. Antonowski, Wendell, that was the name of the villain. Thank you. Thank you, Wenendar. I like that they, as far as a character arc for RoboCop, what always bothered me about the movies was in RoboCop, he was a robot. And then he eventually became more human. And then when RoboCop 2 started, he was robotic all over again, and then he eventually became more human. That always kind of bothered me. I really like this one, how it just starts off and he's very human already. He has, his emotions, and he's very thoughtful. I like how they picked up right from there. So I really like a lot what they did with the story and the characters. This is definitely higher than a 3, higher than a 4. But does it get to 5 level though? Consider the narrative and characters, including voice acting. Are they convincing, memorable, and do they enhance the experience? This really is. I want to give it a 5, but I'm going to back off. I'm going to do a 4.5, maybe a 4. I'm going to go 4.75. The reason I don't think it goes all the way up to a 5, if I remember correctly, the story, it was a bit long. It felt a bit bloated in a few spots. Not terrible, but it just, I would, in good faith, I couldn't give it a 5. So we'll do a 4.75 though. It was top notch. It was very, very good. Music and audio. They used a lot of the original themes. They used a lot of the original flourishes. It very much sounded like a RoboCop experience. They didn't try to make it all new age. They didn't try to add all like the techno robotic music. It just kept it very orchestral, like the original RoboCop, which I liked a lot. That was very, very good. And let's see here. Consider the sound effects were good also, with the splats and the sound of the punch when you punch enemies, and the sound of RoboCop's feet moving. You guys, I'm having a hard time not giving this another 5 for music and audio. I think they really, really did a good job with this as well. All the sound effects were on point. The voice acting was pretty good. A few of the characters were kind of cheesy, and the dialogue was kind of cheesy, but it really went well with I'm gonna go 5. That's good. Music and audio, I think this is how you should be doing a game like that. Graphics and visuals. Oh my gosh, you guys, the art style of this game, it really felt like I was in RoboCop. I watched RoboCop, the original, growing up more times than I can count. I know so many of the locations, and they did a great job with recreating those locations. The police station, the color, all the color scheme in the police station, and the layout looked so like playing it made me realize like, oh, that's what's behind this corner. Like that's what this area looks like when I was exploring it more. That's the police station. The location where Murphy got shot was fantastic. you remember how when I discovered where Murphy got shot, I walked around the corner and I was like, oh, and this is where Lewis witnessed the whole thing happening. So they did a great job on recreating like key areas like that. The other locations though, where they were just kind of making it up, I guess they were okay. It definitely looked like it would belong in RoboCop. I don't know. The graphics look really good too. You guys, this is another situation where I'm like, this game was not perfect, but I'm having a hard time not giving this a 5 as well. It was so RoboCop. If you are a fan of RoboCop, this is exactly what you want to see. So, oh my gosh. Oh, I'm gonna go with another 5. I don't know what else I could do on that one. I'm almost trying to talk myself out of these such high scores, but I don't know. Level design. This is not going to be a 5. Some of the levels were a bit weird to kind of explore. I'm trying to think. It was a while ago since I played this, but I remember there being that huge level where it was like it was outside and there was like bombs on the ground, and then there was also snipers way up high. There was a lot of kind of meandering around, kind of not knowing where to go next in those levels that kind of were a bit tough. Remember that one level where I was underground and there was a huge party and the music was blaring? I didn't know where to go next in some of those spots. I was lost a little more than I would have liked. I kind of got turned around. I think what they were doing was they were trying to make the levels too big. Rather than have the levels be kind of narrow and obvious where you're supposed to go next. They were a little bit bigger than they should have been. So the level design I do remember being a little confusing. Oh, and there's that one where I had to find the key card to get to the elevator to go up, and I couldn't find out where that thing was. So I think the level design can use some work on this. Still better than a 3 though. I don't think a 4. I'm gonna go 3.5 on that for level design. And gameplay. This one I'm mixed on. So I felt like there were 2 different types of games in RoboCop Rogue City. The first type of game was the obvious action shooter, and I feel like that was a little lackluster. There was too often I did not feel like RoboCop. I wasn't powerful enough. I wasn't strong enough. I got taken down too easily. The aiming was a little tough. I get that RoboCop moves slowly, so the moving around I didn't mind as much, but when he pulls that gun out and he aims, I want that auto aim to snap right to the enemies. I really want, not that I want it to be easy, I want it to feel like I'm RoboCop. I would have liked that better. I would have liked it more snappy to be on the villains when I aim. That would have felt nice. I would have liked to not be taken down so easily by bullets. That would have been nice. I feel like they could have spiced it up. Maybe they could have given larger weapons to the enemies, or like shock rounds to the enemies to kind of like, shock you or something like that. But bullets taking me down so easily, I wasn't a big fan of that for the gameplay. That was the first part of the game, the action shooter. The other part of the game was like a detective story. So you kind of fish around and interview people and ask questions to kind of figure out what's going on. And that part of the game I thought was fantastic. I wish that was a bigger part of the game. It was a much better part of the game. I had a lot more fun with that. So kind of a detective investigating game, but at the same time, an action shooter. And the action shooter, I'm sorry to say, was not as good. I'm going to say they're going to balance each other out. Action adventure, not so great. Detective story, fantastic. You put them together, I'm going to say that's going to be a 4. So we're going to give that a 4. And look at that. A B. A B for RoboCop. Which is interesting, huh? Because when I first started talking about this game, you would have thought it would have been an A because of my scores were so high, right? 4.75, 5. But that's what's so difficult sometimes about my grading scheme is those multipliers. Those multipliers are pretty important. So even though the story and the music and the graphics were all fantastic, since the multipliers are low, it didn't help it as much as the level design and gameplay brought it down. So I kind of like this grading scheme because as much as I like the story, as much as I like the music, as much as I like the visuals, that all in my head when I think back to this game, that's what I remember. What would keep me from playing this game again is the gameplay and the level design. I felt like we're kind of not as great. So yeah, I think a B. A B is a good score for this game. Definitely liked it. Definitely a great game. Definitely enjoyed it. But it was the gameplay that kind of held it back. So there you have it. All right. Have a good week, everybody. I will see you on Saturday. Okay. Bye.
Too bad about Kenny, huh?
Life in the big city.